We're live.
All right. So even though we're live, don't get too excited. This is just our warm up, man. This is just waiting for people to come into the gallery. And in 2 minutes, at noon precisely, when Brian gives me
There's Lisa.
that is when
Lisa's
this
here.
will start. And I know that you're all, because Brian is there. He's going, oh my God, this person's in, this person's in. So, but the show begins at noon. So, anyway, that's all I have to say until Brian then goes, you're on. Okay, so even though I know I'm on, I'm not on yet. This is just totally not that. Okay? And, yeah. And for all of you, there we've got, what?
Both of them are in.
Who's, both the artists are, oh, you mean, well, yeah, I expect them to be in. That's the whole thing. And it is 1 minute. Now, if you're wondering what the hell's going on here, just a little pre-app, I've got my phone here so that I can tell what the hell Mindy is doing. Oops, no hell. I got to remember that this is the gallery one and not my home one. Okay, so anyway, we are live with the ceramic story of today. Okay, and welcome. It's wonderful to see everybody popping on there. Now, as you know, for the past little while now, Brian and I have instituted these Wednesday and Saturday ceramic performances where I ramble on in a stream of consciousness. And in doing that stream of consciousness, we thought that just to break things up, we would this time, we finally found one of our artists who is not shy, and we are going to be introducing to you in the next few minutes, as soon as I get my train of thought up to that, we're going to be introducing Mindy Andrews. Mindy Andrews of ceramic, Jesus Christ. Mindy Andrews of Calgary. This is the joy of being live. It's sort of like, Lucille Ball. Go, and I am going to, as soon as Mindy Andrews pushes the accepted, and Brian tells me, and oh my God, just a second, you know what I just realized? I have not, oh God, okay, live.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit confusing because, oh yeah, Mindy and I won't talk at the same time. So, because otherwise I'm going to hear myself. So I'll try not to talk over Mindy. My phone is buffering, of course, and I have no idea why it's doing that. Oh, I am now in because I can see that. Is Mindy on with me? If Mindy's on
yes,
with me?
good morning.
Mindy, how are you?
I am well. How are you?
I am well. Of course, this is going to be very interesting because my phone is still buffering, but I can hear you. And so as long as I can hear you, I can feel you. So I'm going to pretend that that I'm on the radio, and you're going to pretend, well, actually, you're not going to have to pretend. You're going to be on television, and I am going to be on the radio. So I don't know what era that takes us from, but it's sort of one of these COVID moments. How are you, Mindy?
I am doing well. Considering the weirdness out there, but it's all good.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Whereas I thought that I was going to be able to see you, I'm obviously not going to be able to see you. So this is really going to be fun because I am going to talk about your work. You're going to talk about your work. People are going to watch this and wonder what the hell we're doing. But anyway, it is. This is the first one. The first
Yay!
performance with an artist. And okay, so there we go. We're going to start, we always say that a mug is the calling card of an artist. It's equivalent to their business card. So I have in my hand a Mindy Andrews mug. So Mindy.
Yes.
The mug, as we can see, is porcelain.
Yep.
It is a throw-in.
Yes, correct.
Is this a pulled or an extruded handle?
That is a pulled handle.
Okay, can you explain to people what a pulled handle is?
Yes, so basically a pulled handle is a piece of clay that I kind of roll out that's tapered like a carrot. And then through my hands with lots of water, you pull it so it starts to thin out to a certain thickness. Hand pulled handles are not easy. I am still learning because the handle needs to reflect the form as well. So there's lots involved in a handle.
Do you know, one of the interesting things about doing this is that, of course, they are operating with visuals. I am
Yes.
only operating with audio. So we may have another place for this video. Okay. So we've got the pulled handle. We've got, and
Yep.
what I really love, one of the things I love about, because your form is so delightfully symmetrical, even when shown with another one, is
Oh,
that I love the fact that the throw lines show rather through the clear
yeah.
glaze, emphasizing the reality that this is. Oh, there you are.
Oh, you got me now?
Well,
Hi.
no, you're frozen, and you're not
Oh.
frozen in a very attractive moment. But anyways, you are frozen, and must have had something to do with the pulling. Anyway, so there we go. Now, also, of course, these are all. Walk me through this, because I know that this is something that then gets elaborated on other pieces. So we've got the mug now. The mug.
Yep.
And now, am I correct? I'm always telling people that working with porcelain is like trying to throw lard. Is that a
Yeah.
good analogy?
Yeah, it's a very unforgiving material. When I teach as well, so students always want to try the white stuff, like the real porcelain. And it's like, no, 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 no. It has no tooth or there's not much grog in it. So when you go to pull it, it will do what it wants to do. And if you overwork it, it will die.
I really think there's going to be a market for this video, just the audio. See, yeah. So,
And it's like that too.
yeah. Well, you know, the interesting thing, because I'm always telling, when I try to explain to people uh, the inherent difficulties and skill that goes with working with not that skill doesn't go with working with clay that
Yeah, yeah,
has
yeah,
drawn,
yeah,
but working
yeah,
with porcelain is a whole different ball game, because it is, there's nothing to give it grip. So it
yeah,
really is like throwing lard.
yeah.
Now, okay, so we now have you've thrown the cup, but the
Yes.
handle's not on yet. So
Yeah.
take us now to the handle application.
Okay. So just back up just a tiny bit. So I've thrown it. I wait a few days. I'll trim the form, the bottom.
And trimming is, of course, this here little beveling
Yeah.
is an example of the trimming, so that
Yeah.
people are, so it, for one thing, this makes it a lot less likely to chip. It
Yeah.
also makes it a lot, it's just a lot more comfortable in the hand for anybody
Yeah.
who holds their cup like this.
Yeah. And lots of my cups don't have a foot ring because I like to decorate the bottom.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
There's that little cloud,
A
and
little.
here's the extension of the Asian influence. What's, you know, I noticed that there's a strong Asian influence.
Yeah. I
What
think
is is
it's my past life. I don't know if
it's
you
not,
believe
but
that.
it's not a genetic thing. It's just a past life thing.
Yeah. I
By
wish I could
genetic thing,
say.
people, I mean that, you know what I mean.
Yeah. I,
You don't have, there's no Asian in
not
your
that I know.
heritage.
Not that I know of. No.
No, I don't
No.
mean that. You know, for Christ's sake, people, you know, I don't want somebody down at the bottom going on about how I'm talking about expropriation. I think it's really wonderful, because I mean, the reality is that porcelain
Uh,
began in the Orient.
yep.
So
Yep.
if anyway, so it's really, really nice. Now, I love um, the pastoral scenes that you incorporate onto your
Thanks.
work. So
Thanks.
I got to ask you a question here. Now, one
Please.
of the things that often, when I talk to Pat Weber, who does
Mhm.
absolutely kick-ass little pieces out on
Yes.
Salt Spring Island, and when I talk
Yeah.
to Zuma Monastery, different ceramic artists that I talk to, when it comes to the actual decoration,
Yeah.
They like to be in a good mood when they do it.
Ah.
Well, this sold.
Yeah. So when they do that, so are you in a good mood when you do these? Or
Not necessarily.
is there a is there a storm cloud series that we haven't seen?
Well, I have to tell you a funny story. So it was a sale that I was doing, and this woman collects my work, and she asked that very question. She said, "So, my goodness, you must be just cheery all the time, and oh, you must listen to beautiful orchestral, music." And I said, "Do you really want to know what I listen to when I'm painting?" And she says, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." Well, I really enjoy listening to mysteries and actual true crime. And she was like, "What?"
Well, actually, did you just see my face screw up there? All of a sudden, I've
I
got
know
Murder, She Wrote at the other end.
it bursts that artist bubble right there.
Well, no,
right?
actually, it's really cool. I mean, who knows? Like, you're familiar with Pansy Ass's work.
Oh, I love their stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so God knows what the hell they're doing when they're making pieces.
Mine
So
was
actually, I love to speculate what they're doing when they're making pieces. It's just in my nature. But anyway, by the way, for anybody who's curious about, I will bring down a Pansy
Yes.
Ass.
Yes,
Okay,
please.
this is, okay, I'm not sure where I have to. This is Pansy Ass, all right? Now, wherever their head is at, this is also porcelain, folks.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
this is pretty cool, this little whipped cream porcelain. But anyway, enough of that.
Awesome.
Back to Mindy.
Awesome.
But so that's really interesting.
So, but I mean, I think I'm a positive person anyway, a lot of my reference material is pretty
Pastoral,
uplifting, nature. It sounds kind of cliche, but
well, yeah, I mean, here's one of your teapots, which I absolutely love. And
Thank you.
you can see there's the dandelions and everything. Now, one of the things, of course, that's very evident in your work, which if it's, now you're going to tell me, no, that's not at all what it is. But I noticed the low horizons. Is this because you're looking east?
Yeah, very true. Well done.
My God, I'm on it. I'm on it. Yeah, so by that, folks, what I mean is you can see that Mindy's horizon line, she's obviously not, remember, she's in Calgary. Okay,
Yeah.
folks? So she is looking east, because if she was looking west, we would be having mountains, and we're not. Now, just as a matter of curiosity, is there a reason for that, or is you just not know how to draw a mountain?
Well, the thing, like the foothills are kind of west of here.
Oh.
Right? They're before the mountains, but having said that, I do look east as well. I'm originally from northwestern Ontario, Kenora.
Oh, all right. Lots of dandelions there.
Yeah, and they're considered weeds, but I like them.
Oh, you can make wine with them. You can eat them.
Yeah.
And also, it's in COVID-19. We might be popping out to the garden to see what's growing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so there is, okay, so I kind of got it right with the inspiration there.
Yes.
And then the dandelions. Now, the other thing that absolutely really intrigues me that I love about you, use this wonderful, wonderful red. I mean, this red is extraordinary. Now, in my understanding of red, because people love red.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons, of course, that they love red is that the eye has more receptors for red than any other color, which is why red is the color to tell you to stop at a traffic light. But anyway, I also know that certain colors are difficult to fire and to get consistency. And you seem to have achieved that with the red on these pieces.
Yes.
Now, are you just a genius, or have you got some miracle red that nobody knows about?
Well, I wish I could say, yes, I'm a genius, and yes, it's a glaze, but it's not a glaze.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's one of my favorite underglaze materials by Amico. And it's red. I used to use
obviously red. That's what we're talking about there, girl.
Beautiful.
Okay, so that's so cool.
Yeah.
So this sorry, I gotta learn to shut up.
No, that's okay.
So this is actually, that's why I can see here it's matte.
Yeah. Yeah. So I could have made up a story, but you know.
Well, listen, I've been making up a story for the past, since we've been showing your work, but which obviously
Okay.
I now stand corrected. So for anybody watching who has bought a piece of the Mindy Andrews with red, and I was going on into my glaze stories, I was totally wrong.
That's
But
okay.
the other thing that I was right about, just so that I don't shoot myself in the foot completely, I've always said that even though you can look at something and you can kind of determine how it was done, only the artist knows for sure.
Yeah.
So there you are. And the
But that
story
makes it
now
more
behind
interesting.
Mindy Andrews' Red has been told. Okay,
But
so it's not that she's really that clever, it's nor am I
no.
really that smart. You now have the true story of the success of Mindy's Red. Okay.
Damn.
Oh, and look, you've even decorated inside the lid.
Oh yeah.
You are such a surprising girl. There's nothing in the bottom of the teapot, is it?
Did I do that one?
This one? No. What is this? Do we have something in the bottom of the teapot? Is this going to be? No. Oh, there's another one there.
Yeah.
So listen, folks, you know, that's the whole thing. Yesterday when I was talking about pieces in my collection at home and discovering aspects to them that I don't even know were there, you might want to look around at pieces that you really like, because it possibly, actually, I have to do a little aside story here, Mindy.
Yeah, please.
Because I used to have a woman who used to come into the shop, and she was absolutely delightful. She was in her 80s, and she was always looking for a place to put her husband. And so anyway, she'd come in, and she says, I've got to find the right place for him. So this one day and this went on for years. This one day she walks into the shop, and she sees a covered jar on the counter, and she says, that's it. Oh my God, that's the perfect place for Tom. So she hands me the jar, and I thought, finally. And so I walk in, and I'm wrapping it up, and I take off the jar. This was a Jack Schur's jar.
Oh,
now, Jack Schur's, oh my God, his bandicoots. So these bandicoots, anybody afterwards, go and Google, because this little bandicoot figures are absolutely hysterical, and Jack had a wicked sense of humor. So these little bandicoots are like this, and they're not hugging. But let me tell you, they were very intimately involved. So I'm wrapping up the lid, and I'm thinking, holy shit, she's going to put her husband, excuse me, I forgot that I'm not at home. She's going to put her husband in here. Do I tell her? Or do I not tell her? I mean, after all, she's finally spending the money. I really want her money. Well, the thing is, so anyway, I thought, I'm not telling her. Now, whether or not that was why she wanted the piece, I will never know, because I've never seen her again. So she may have got home and unwrapped it and said, oh my God, I think I gave him too much information, and I'm too embarrassed to bring it back. But somewhere, somehow, Tom is in a jar, and there's a red hat lady who has given me such a delightful story. Thank you, red hat lady. Okay, back to you.
That's hilarious. Oh my goodness.
I tell you, the things. Now, the other things, of course, is that one of the things that here we've got a lid, and we know it's a lid because it's on top of this. And inside, again, the decoration is there. And then we've got the little twiglet. And the little twiglet, folks, this is made for, now that's slip cast, or is that like a little press mold like Wedgwood?
Yes, very much like Wedgwood.
So you're press molding this.
Sorry. That one, I do have some that are press mold, but that one is actually slip cast. Sorry.
And this is because it's all in the round.
Yeah.
Because folks, just so you know, if we had a mug here by Mira, which we don't, but if Brian backs up and puts his hand on a mug, I will show you something. Okay, folks, so here we have a little starfish by Mira Matheson of Victoria, BC, one of my dearest friends who I absolutely adore. But anyway, her piece here, you see that little piece? So Mindy and Mira are doing similar things. Now, the difference that you're going to see here is that this piece has been made in a press mold. And do you have a press mold handy there?
I do. Let me find my press mold.
So, well, just so you know, a press mold is you've got these things like, remember when you were a kid and you would do Play-Doh and you'd press in the clay and then you'd pop out your favorite Disney character?
Can you
Well,
see that?
here you've got Mindy showing you a press mold.
Pine cone.
Okay, so that mold that you're watching Cindy display, which I can't see because, again, she's buffered. And she's not in the buff, she's just buffered. Okay, well, she could be in the buff because I only see her head anyway. But anyway, who knows? The whole thing that all the talk show hosts are talking about is that, you know, they're doing these things and they're not in their pants. I, however, am in my pants, just so you know. Okay, so that press mold. I have not had a drink. I haven't had any weed. This is purely early. There we go with the press mold one. Now, as opposed to this one, which has been done in a little slip mold. Now, the advantage to the slip mold and over this is that you can do something that's in the round.
Yeah.
Am I right, Mindy?
Yes, and I'm holding up the exact stick that I used to make the mold from.
Oh, that is so good. Because I was going to ask you if you just carved a stick or if you operated from nature.
I operate from nature. Yeah.
Yeah, nature, very good. That's really good. I'm pleased to hear that. So I can see by looking at that one and this one, you've got an assortment of sticks.
Well, I've cut the one. So you can see the length of that?
Yeah.
So that's the stick, and I can cut it. I'm going to show you one that's been slip cast. It's blue.
Oh, all right.
So here is the exact stick, but now it's slip cast.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Please note that my enthusiasm is based on your description. It is not based on anything visual whatsoever.
So it's a long stick.
So it's a long stick, Brian. And she cuts it up. Hey, it's pretty good. So now I know what's going on over there. And I will just put that back. But I think that's really cool. So that lens, that means that when you have three little jars there, you can have different pieces so that the uniqueness is maintained.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So now the lids, are these also, is that part, is that a little slump mold or is that a little slip cast thing?
No, that is wheel thrown.
That's wheel throwing. Oh shit,
Yeah.
If I looked closer, I could have seen that. You can always look, folks, you know, really, really look, because I know that it's difficult to see, especially with my finger in the way, but you can see, you get to see because even though they brush these things and they do all kinds of stuff, the reality is that the throwing gives you these concentric rings, which you can't really get rid of. And anybody who's got oil of Olay soap, you'll notice that the more you use the soap, the impression of the Olay after a while rises because they've pressed into it. So it's almost like a soap memory. Well, this would be a clay memory.
Clay memory. Yeah.
So, oh my God, I'm getting better at this.
You are good.
Yeah, and you know, you are my first live interview.
What?
So, yeah, you're my first live. Well, I mean, I've done interviews before, but this is the first one like this.
Oh, that is so cool.
I think so. I think we're keeping people amused because we've got a reasonable amount of people watching. Mind you, if we're not keeping people amused, I'm certainly going to know on Wednesday. You know, when we opened up and Brian and I were sitting there for a half an hour and thinking, where the fuck is anybody showing up? But anyway, so, all right.
I'm here.
Okay, so there you go. Now here, of course, is one of your teapots. Now the body of the teapot is thrown.
Yep.
And I'm walking people through this because some of the people watching this are just rolling in the aisles, and I need to bring them back to reality. So here we've got the pulled handle.
Yeah.
And now, and this is going to really sound great. Is your spout thrown or cast?
It is thrown.
And that is why Mindy's spouts are at a different angle.
Yeah.
So you notice that, you know, I don't know, there's something very phallic about spouts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so I've got to ask you, did you have Rob Reimer as a teacher?
I did.
My God, I recognize him in your spout.
Well, I had him for a little bit, especially.
What was he like?
Oh, Rob, he was the best.
Yeah,
When I graduated from ACAD in 2002, I went to work for the city of Calgary, and it's an art center, North Mount Pleasant Art Center.
right.
Bob was the technician there, and he taught me so much after
Oh my
school.
God. Well, did Lisa ever tell you how she and I bonded?
No.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you this story, and Brian is not going to take. Don't, not yet. Shh. So anyway, so Lisa walks in one day, and she's standing right there where her work is, but her work wasn't there
Yeah.
because I was just meeting her.
Oh,
Anyway, you can always tell when a ceramic artist comes in. You can tell because they look at things differently, they handle things differently, because you can see that they're getting caught up in more than just the aesthetic. So it's all
yeah.
the way that
Yeah.
they look, handle, and all that. They're always feeling the bottom. You know, I know a lot of
Yep.
people like that. Anyway, different scene. But anyway, so as she's looking and feeling the bottom, I thought this girl, this woman, so I asked her, I said, are you a ceramic artist? Now, there's also a big difference between a ceramic artist and a hobbyist. And we always do this when people come in, and now we're going to play our secret. We ask people, you know, what are you adding to your collection? And when they look around in amazement that I would be asking such a question and saying, oh, but I'm a ceramic person, we know that they're a hobbyist. The higher up the food chain, the more that the ceramic maker understands that, you know, they can't do everything, and there are different skill sets. So anyways, Lisa and I are talking and bonding. She's got this awesome red hair.
Oh, yeah.
And anyway, and of course, Lisa, as you know, went to school in London, went to Beale, you know, the most important secondary art school in Canada, blah, 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 and all that stuff. So I said to her, I said, you want to see the piece that I absolutely love, and is probably one of my favorite pieces that I got. And I showed her this.
Oh, Bob. Oh, Bob.
So when she saw that, she took one look and started crying. Not rolling on the floor sobbing, but you know, and then she was explaining to me that Rob was, or is it Rob or Bob?
Bob.
That she was explaining to me that Bob was her teacher. And this piece, and you know, I don't know if other people see it, but I see a connection between his spout and your spout.
Wow.
And, you know, I just absolutely love this. It's just so wonderful. And the other thing that is really important, and it's something that you incorporate into your work, but you know, this piece is wood fired, obviously, folks. But you see this is process marks. This is where he has had a hand, and he's obviously done it with his right hand, and he has actually there. This is how he, with greater strength than me, held that pot when he dipped it into the glaze. And this to me is just absolute magic. I love process marks.
Yeah, Bob was so much of that.
And this to me is your process mark.
Yeah.
When somebody does something that is not part of, I mean, there's no reason for this other than it emphasizes the reality that this is touched by the maker.
Yeah.
I mean, that you're getting a little, are you getting a little mellow?
Mellow?
Were you just all of a sudden thinking of Bob?
Yeah, I was.
Do you know, he's somebody I would have loved. He was from Ontario.
Yes, he was.
I would have loved to have met that man, because anyone that can make such an honest pot as that, and do it so well. Now, for anybody who is interested in Bob Reimer, I know nothing about him, other than he was educated in Ontario, taught in Alberta, at ACAD. And the other thing to remember is that I talk about different places that you find artists' work. Bob was a studio potter. He did not exhibit in galleries.
No.
So his work is really, really hard to find. And if you're ever fortunate enough, let's show the people the mark. if you're
Yeah.
ever fortunate enough,
Because you didn't know who that was until
I had
Lisa.
no idea who it was. Lisa who told me who it was.
Oh,
I had no idea. And there is Bob's Chop.
yeah. Yeah,
So
there
folks,
he is.
if you know,
Uh,
but the other things that I think are possibly, this handle is very much, I think, him.
oh,
And
very.
am I correct that Sean Kuntz also had him as a teacher?
Not so much as a teacher, but a major influence. Because again, Bob would
Oh,
go to
this is a Sean Kuntz
Oh,
spout.
oh, totally. And then Sean worked and went to North Mount Pleasant as well while Bob was there. Bob influenced a lot of potters, a lot.
Well, I think that he's probably getting more airplay that he's gotten in a long time, but not nearly what he deserves.
No,
So,
he was
so
so
that,
humble. Yeah.
yeah. So that was the piece over which Lisa and I bonded.
Oh
And
my
then,
goodness.
of course, Lisa connected us. Yeah, isn't that cool? So Lisa connected us to you.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that I'm curious about, Lisa, by the way, the
Yes.
collaborative pieces that you and Lisa did,
Yes.
was that the first time that you collaborated?
No, but I think it was either the second time, I think. You lose track of time.
Oh, tell me this. Oh, Brian knows more than us. He said yes, it was. So
Oh,
the
thanks,
thing
Brian.
Hi. What?
She's saying
Hi,
hello.
Brian.
Hi, Mindy.
Okay. So listen, Mindy, with
Yes.
the with this particular collaboration. Now we all know that Lisa has a thing for rabbits because that's the other thing. She and I are both the year of the rabbit. I'm not going to say which year, but anyway, both the year of the rabbit. So when you made the support for Lisa's work, did you have the figures before you and then you decided what you were going to put them on? Or did you collaborate in that she said, I'm going to do that. What do you think?
Yeah.
Explain the process of a collaboration.
Yeah. So we collaborate. We kind of sit over a coffee and start doing drawings, sort of come up with the theme of the show, right? For a lot of those, of course, doing the animals, some at night, some during the day, some playful. I think some of that was also kind of drawn into circus-like attention as well. So
the circus aspect of it, is that something that came from you or from Lisa? Because it seems that Lisa likes the circus motif.
yeah, yeah, I think it's Lisa. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, this, it's when you only have one. I've only got one roadie, so right now I'm both doing both things there, but
all good.
Yeah, I know. It's like I'm ambidextrous. Oh, and here Brian has brought us some nightscapes, some circus. Here,
yeah.
Yeah. So here we've got the little guy, and this really appeals to me, of course, because I'm a vanished twin. But this is really neat, and so this is really cool, people. You've got that. By the way, this can hang on the wall.
Yeah.
And it can hang on the wall very, very successfully, unless you're a client of ours, Madeline, for whom the success was limited. But you know what was really cool is that when Madeline, because she bought 2 of your pieces, as you will
Oh, yes, I remember.
Yeah, and then she had a sort of an accident. But what was really cool is we sent you the rabbit back.
Yeah.
And she got a new tent.
Yeah.
And Madeline was really pleased with that. She was absolutely thrilled.
So good.
So there as so that's kind of cool. But yeah, so I love the circus theme. I love the porcelain. And then of course the other thing that was this your idea to add the light?
Yeah. I do a few of those sort of light blocks, and I really wanted to bring one of those into our collaborative pieces.
Well, now if this was a little darker in here, they're the light folks. And it's when the lighting is suitable and when you but this is wonderful. But look at the little bird. Oh my God. And the little bird's got a little something on it. I just, the pieces give such incredible, by the way, we also got to remember that these things are for sale.
Yes, always.
This is number 9, folks. I don't know where the price tag is, but it's number 9. And here's, this one is
$375.
$375. So that one's going to be in that range. But there you go, folks. So that's that. So how, in putting this collaboration together, you go from talking about it over coffee. When did you switch to wine?
Not too long into it. Lisa's not a big wine drinker, so I, will have the wine. She'll have, what does she usually have? It's, what do you call it? It's ginger ale and whiskey.
Oh,
what you call it.
It's called a Ryan Ginger.
There you go, Ryan Ginger, Ontario thing.
Okay, very good. Okay, so that's really cool. Did you find that as the conversation progressed that you ended up getting a little bit wild in what you expected to do? Because I mean, this raccoon has obviously was inspired by the Ryan whiskey.
Yeah, well, it's getting later in the evening, and it's like, oh yeah, we got to do a critter at night for sure.
Yeah, I've done a few critters at night myself. Anyway, the porcelain. So, did you wait?
Sorry.
Got it. I'm going to start laughing at my own. We're never going to get
now.
through
Okay.
this. Oh, Stephen Colbert, I know what you go through. Okay, so were you working on the bases while she was working on the figures, or did she bring the figures to you and then you do the bases?
I think for this one, she came to my studio.
Oh, she worked in your studio?
Yeah, we've done that where she'll come to my
studio. So
studio.
she brought her own clay?
Yeah, and her own board because red clay.
She works with this red clay. And this one, as you can see, folks, this is where Lisa played with herself. See? So there we go.
I had gone by that time.
Yeah, and over here, So this is a night alone with Lisa, and this is when Lisa is playing with Mindy. So you've got that there, and beautifully hand painted. It's amazing how quickly everything can just sort of degenerate, especially when I can't even see what you're showing me or what you're talking about. Anyway, let's talk about molds. Okay. Have you noticed actually that during COVID that less of your vegetables are getting moldy because you're using them faster? But that's not the mold we're talking about, folks. We're talking about this. And here we've got an Ann Mortimer mold.
Oh, nice.
So this is this is Ann's master mold, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so folks, do you have one of your master molds handy?
I have a mold. I don't know if it's a master mold per se, but
isn't the master mold what you make the actual mold from?
Yeah. See, I use my stick.
Do? Okay. Well, Anne made this, and so you can see that.
Nice.
So this is the sculpture, folks. This is the master mold from which Anne makes the mold.
Yeah,
right?
there we go. Yeah.
Okay. So, and here we've got a crawl glaze. This is Anne's signature bud. We're going to get back to talking about you. But I just want to give people an idea of the mold. So there's that. Now, so you've got one of your molds handy there?
I do. So can you see one side?
Yeah. I can't see a thing. You're going to have to talk me through that. No, I can't see it. No, I can't. Right now, with my picture of you, you've got your mouth.
She's showing the twig mold.
Oh, yeah. Right.
This
Okay,
part.
so now, folks, what you're seeing there, this is a bigger version, right?
Yeah.
And then this funnel would not be like that at the beginning. This would be like that, right?
Yeah.
And there are two halves, folks, which is probably what Mindy's showing you there. And then this funnely thing there, when the other half of this is there, you pour the slip in. Slip is liquid clay, folks. And then liquid clay is a watery version of what Mindy's been throwing around and tossing and all that stuff. So, so you've got your mold, you've got the two halves, and you poured the liquid slip in.
Yeah.
And then how long do you let your slip, like your twigs are solid.
Yeah. So I just let them be
So you can
until they
walk
can.
away and go have a drink. You can do whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty
And,
much.
and on the other hand, has
Yeah.
to pay attention.
Yeah.
Because when this is in here with all the liquid, remember there's a ton, oh, there's nuts. Anyway, when all of that is in there, shit. Anyway, if this was, oh, there. Oh my God, her bird's upside down. Oh, there we are.
There you go.
So what would happen, folks, is that the liquid clay's gone in there and the whole thing has filled up with clay, all right? It's just like whatever, a liter of clay, a liter of slip. Then what you do, you explain to me what happens when this, when the slip is in that mold.
Yeah, so it depends for every artist, depending on thickness. Sometimes they'll put a timer on and they'll leave it in there depending on thickness that they want, maybe 5-10 minutes, sometimes less. And then when it's time, they'll actually take that whole mold from the little spout there where it gets poured in, they pour it out. Yep. And then they let it sit in the mold till it is dry enough to open. Yeah, there you go. So you're pouring it out, then you leave it. Yeah, nice and heavy.
Yeah, that's one of the things. So one of the things that I'm always telling people to understand is that ceramic artists are really interesting people. And the way that, what's interesting about their work is that they start off in school, and being a ceramic artist is like really being a scientist, an engineer, because there's like you're doing something like this, you bloody well better know what you're doing. Yeah. And also they've got to have the patience of Job. Yeah. So you've got this mold done. Now this is heavy. Yeah. You know, and in talking with Alain, when he does his big soup tureen, you can imagine the size of the damn mold. So this right now filled with slip, and remember there would be two halves to this. Yeah, super heavy. And is only this high. And she also like Lisa, likes to work with whiskey. So the thing is that when you're lifting, it's going to be really heavy. So as artists get older, there seems to be a trajectory. We're not talking COVID, but there is a trajectory where sometimes their pieces will get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then they'll get older and older and older, and then the size falls off. Yeah. You know, and it's really interesting. And I think that, you know, I was talking to Alain and Denise, who do, of course, they do slip cast work, but I was talking about Maurice Savoie, and Maurice Savoie, who did these enormous, like Jack Schurz, did these enormous exterior pieces, and then his pieces went down and down and down. And then as he got older, the work became more and more and more frail. So it's really interesting because you can trace the trajectory of a ceramic artist, and you can correct me, Mindy, at any time. You can almost trace the trajectory of their work based on the size of their work as well, unless they become really, really famous and they've got more people helping them than they can take a stick at. But, you know, so it becomes really interesting, the amount of work that goes into this. Yeah, I think for myself, Jonathan, I at one time was just doing wheel throwing, and it was really hard on my body. So then I started to incorporate hand building and slip casting. So now I do all three, so that I'm moving around a little more. So now you're no longer in your 20s. No, I'm 30. You don't have to give me any dates. You don't have to, guys. I'm not going to tell you about mine. You know, this gray is not natural. I have to have it bleached. Anyway, so here we've got, I mean, this piece is throwing, right? No, that's slip cast. Fuck me gently. Oh! Sorry, folks. Oh my God, where's Stephen Colbert has somebody to bleep that out. Okay. Oh, Jonathan, Jesus. You're so funny. So here we've got, okay, now I'm not even, you're going to tell me how that decoration is done. Yeah, so I do a mixture too.
those are silk screened from drawings that I've done. So I will take them, my silk screen images on tissue paper, like a decal, tissue decal,
Right.
and then I put it on the green clay.
Okay, green clay, by the way, folks, is clay that has not been fired.
Yeah, no
You got
bisque.
that?
Yeah.
I'm not you. I mean, I know you though. That
Yeah.
you don't. Like, we're having a problem conversation here. So okay, so green. When an artist refers to greenware, greenware is work that has been. It's ready to go into the kiln, but it has not been fired. Am I correct?
That is correct.
There. So okay. So greenware has nothing to do with the color of the ware. It's just sort of like a novice. Okay. So there you go. So this piece is slip cast, and so where was I going with that?
I don't know, but that's okay.
Okay. So here, this one is a decal, not a decal. This is a transfer.
It's a decal. Yeah.
It is a decal,
Tissue
but it's
decal.
one that you have done, created the design, as
Yes.
opposed to that little flower there.
Yeah, the gold. Yeah.
And
Oh
there.
well, those are just sort of cut out. The flowers, yes, the gold flowers, yes.
Yeah, but you
Those-
didn't draw those.
No. They came from a company in the States.
Okay, so there you go. So there is the successful amalgamation of Mindy's hand painted work
Yeah.
and that.
Yeah.
So it's really neat. So here you've got the original artwork.
Yeah.
That, then you've got the reproductive artwork.
Yeah.
You've got Lisa's bunny, and then this also has the little light up thing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going, and also this can hang on the wall.
Yeah.
Okay, now the other thing, of course, hanging that on the wall, because it's got a bit of a weight.
Yes. You got to have a good
You got to
beam.
nail it right. You got that, folks? And we're not going to touch any more with that.
Exactly,
Okay,
John.
so where have we been now? We've talked about that. Okay, do you only work in porcelain?
So far, yes. Early on, I didn't. I worked with stoneware, Plainsman clay body H550, and after school, I mean, I used different clay bodies in school because you're, experimenting and trying things. Then when I left school, I continued with that stone body. Then I started getting into cone 10.
Cone 10, folks, is something that's very high fired.
Yeah, cone 10 porcelain.
Right.
And those were the salt fired. That's a cone 6.
This is a cone 6? Okay,
Yeah.
so that's not cone 10, folks.
You can't really tell. You wouldn't know.
Well, I know now. That's
Yeah,
why
you know now.
this you again. You just reinforce the thing that the only way that you can really know what has been done is if you talk to the artist. So any smart ass that tries to tell you they know how something is done, just ask them, well, how do you know that's done? If they say they've spoken to the artist, fine. If not, what they should be giving you is an educated approximation of what it actually is. And I have no idea why my thing is way behind.
Oh.
Because I'm still talking about this on there.
Oh.
So anyway,
Okay.
so there you are. So it becomes really, really interesting. Now you mentioned Plainsman clay, of course, is a clay that was used for the longest while in Canada because that was really all that was available. That's a clay, folks, that has a lot of grog in it. So that's the work, when you find those incredible vintage pots from the 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s, that is normally, that's normally Plainsman clay. Plainsman clay, by the way, comes from Canada. It comes from the prairies. That's why it's not called mountain clay. It is Plainsman. But you said Plainsman clay 550. Now, what does that mean, that there were different Plainsman's clay with different grogs?
Oh, well, Plainsman clay has a ton of clay bodies.
Okay.
That H550 stands for high fire.
Okay.
550 is their sort of code or recipe for that particular type of clay body.
Oh,
So
really?
they do,
So the Plainsman clay is,
Yeah.
so there are different, but generally
Yeah.
speaking, Plainsman clay is kind of identifiable by the fact that it's got a lot of grog in it.
Not necessarily.
Oh my
Maybe
God, you just shot down 20 years of my
I'm
telling people
sorry.
shit. That's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
Everybody's got to learn something. Okay.
Maybe early on, before I knew about Plainsman, like way back when, but they've been making clay bodies a really long time. My porcelain that I use, they make it. Now they're getting the materials from Australia or the States to make the porcelain, but they do low fire, medium fire, and high fire clay bodies. Reds,
Okay, that's really
white.
cool. So this is really interesting to me because, Walter Dexter, when he began his career, and Marilyn Levine and all these people, they were using Plainsman clay. But at the beginning of the Plainsman clay, their clay had more grog in it. So then,
Yeah, okay.
so it was also then, am I correct in saying that as the artist had access to different clay bodies, different finenesses of clay, so that you had that move from the vessel into
Yeah.
like being able doing more sculptural and all that stuff, that it really freed up the imaginations of artists such as Marilyn Levine, who went from doing, I was showing one of her pieces at yesterday, and then moving into her more sculptural things, which couldn't have been done with the Plainsman clay of the early days.
Man,
I'm gonna have to get somebody from Plainsman clay on next,
yeah,
but
I
because
hate to
I
say
do because
something.
it's kind of cool, because the reality is that Walter told me that at the beginning there wasn't access to a lot of the fabulous clays that are around today. So when I think of Plainsman clay, I always think of clay with a lot of grog. So I'll turn something over and say, oh yeah, this is kind of Plainsman clay. But from what you're telling me, they now have so many types of clay
Oh
that
yeah,
they have actually, they're accessing and making those clays available have
yeah,
really improved and given an opportunity for greater artistic expression for our incredible Canadian clay artists. And yes, you
yeah,
can
I'm
take that
sure.
into its quote.
Yeah, yeah. And I think Tony Henson, who basically makes lots of the clay bodies, has been there for years, would be the fellow. You know, that might be a fun topic.
Yeah, that's a really good idea because of course I always think of, I guess that for me Plainsman clay was always, thinking back to conversations with Walter Dexter, was
Okay.
to me always a generic term for a clay with a lot of grog. I never really thought of the fact that they were also responsible for bringing in all the different clays, because I know the Australian
Hmm.
clay is awesome. Is
Yeah.
it Australian clay?
Well, a lot of the material is for sure. They're using some of their own, but what makes that? I'm just gonna grab my walk over to. Let me see. So it's a China clay body. I just wanted to make sure I got it right. China clay body that comes from New Zealand or Australia too.
Oh.
That is added, which that's what makes it so expensive.
Oh yeah, because one of the artists that we show uses the what is it, polar ice?
Yeah, polar ice. Yeah, that's Plainsman.